What's up and welcome back. I'm John Stark from MacMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and this is the 30th anniversary of Iron Will. This is probably the weirdest anniversary thing that you'll hear me do, except I really, really love Iron Will. I really love Iron Will. I love this film so much. The cast is great. This was a film, like, as a kid, that I used to watch Iron Will all the time. I don't even know how many times I've seen Iron Will. Like, stupid. It's stupid how many times. I'm not even sure I owned it. I just think I just found it magically all the time. Eventually, I ended up getting it on DVD, and then I watched it more. I've seen Iron Will so many times. But I remember as a kid thinking to myself, why wasn't this nominated for Academy Award? Like, why isn't this in Best Picture? I was thinking it was like that level of film. I don't think I really processed the fact that it was a Disney film. I think I just thought it was like a film, that was really good. And I didn't quite process as a youngster the just starting to really sort of get into cinema, like that this was something different, that Hollywood looked at this differently, that critics were like, eh. I don't think I processed that. I just really love this story about this kid who ended up racing and winning this race and hit against all odds, and with his cast, which at the time you've got people like Brian Cox and Kevin Spacey before they kind of blow up. Yes, Kevin Spacey's in this. I'm sorry. There's nothing I can do about that. There's nothing anybody can do about that. It's okay. You can still watch the movie. He's not the lead, and other people worked on the film too. Have you ever seen the credits to a film? There are like hundreds of names, and you can't go back through and digitally edit out Kevin Spacey out of a 1994 movie and replace him with Christopher Plummer. It's just not possible. It doesn't make sense, and it's not possible. So, we have to live with what we have to live with. So, yes, Kevin Spacey's in this movie, but I don't know, I just really enjoyed the film. I enjoyed the race. I enjoyed watching and being like, ooh, who's gonna make it? And they've got this really like sort of like showboaty villain who's always like, you're not gonna make it. I'll bet you 500. He's like really gruff and kicking people off the race, and you're just like, is anybody gonna do anything about this guy? Like, anybody gonna... who's here to check this guy? Anybody? Is he just allowed to do this? Is he just allowed to like straight up like murder people like in the middle of the race? Is that cool? Like, no rules. It does feel a little bit like that, especially when you rewatch it today. You're like, wow, this guy is like way over the top. Like, no one's gonna say anything to him. We're gonna let that guy keep racing, and then we're gonna put him in a neck-to-neck finish. That makes no sense. Somebody should have stopped this guy a long time ago and been like, listen, man, you violated the rules. There are some rules here, at least a few, and you violated them. We're not going to be able to have you competing in this event. Arguably, Brian Cox kind of plays a villain, but not really. He just plays somebody whose interests are not really aligned with our lead, Will Stoneman. In case you didn't get the Iron Will part, they bring it on home by giving him Stoneman as his last name. So, it's very heavy-handed. Yeah, it's emotional, especially if you've never seen it for the first time. There's some stuff that happens at the beginning of the film with his dad, and then he has this like relationship with his dogs, and then he wants to do this race, and it's set during a time, during like Depression era stuff where people are poor and they could really use the money, and his dad was planning to race and do the sled dog race, and then he wants to do it because I think if he doesn't do it, like his family loses the farm. They always people from families are always going to lose farms. It's like always a thing. Like so many families in films are about to lose their farm. But he has to race in order to save his family. You know, he needs the money, and so he has this iron will, this stone determination, and it just makes for a great film. And looking back on it now, 30 years later, and realizing now as an adult, it's just an inspirational sports movie. I realize it's not supposed to be considered for the Oscars, but in my heart, in my personal heart, Oscars, it won something. I don't know what for, but something, something. Um. Anyway, it is. This is the 30th anniversary of Iron Will. It come out. It came out in 1994, technically January, so I'm a little late. I apologize for that. But I've been looking for films that are in their anniversary years that have audio description that I can talk about, and this is one of them. This has audio description that's deluxe, and it is narrated by John Bentley. Nice choice, nice solid choice there. I always love Mr. Bentley. He comes in really solid. I really loved his work on Doom Patrol. That was really good. So he adds this weight and this gravitas to it that really makes it seem more adventurous than and more adult than it is. You know, which would have added to me as a kid thinking this film was like for your consideration for Best Picture, Iron Will. If I've got John Bentley with this sort of like very serious, very celebratory audio description, I think it would have enhanced my thought that this needs to be nominated for awards. But sadly, it was not. So, anyway, that's it. It's Iron Will's 30th anniversary. If you haven't seen Iron Will before, I think it's one of the great live-action Disney movies. Disney doesn't do stuff like this anymore. I don't know why. This is probably the biggest complaint. Stop remaking your own shit. Go find the people who wrote all of these movies like Iron Will and Mighty Ducks and Angels in the Outfield, and go find those people and make them make more movies for you, because those movies are great. And kids today need to have more of those films in their diet. You know, figure out more of your Disney live action films that are not just retellings of the animated classics. Bring those back. What happened to those? Who stopped writing those? Where's the heavyweights for this generation? You know, I'm glad that was mine. That my generation had that we had all those films, and then it inspired adjacent films. It meant other studios had to make films like Little Big League and Rookie of the Year and Free Willy, and we had to have all these films. And that doesn't happen anymore. Nobody makes films for kids. It's just like rare. It's so rare that happens anymore. But they used to come out all the time. Back in the day, you could just stumble into films. Just be like, oh, it's a film. There are films that didn't even like work. Like I could just keep naming films that just didn't even made no money at the box office. Zeus and Roxanne, for example. You know, not all of them were hits. So, but they made them because there was an audience for them. Anyway, that's it. Yeah, this is one of my favorite films of all time. So it's getting an A+. I know it's surprise. I love watching Iron Will. I don't know how many times I've seen this movie. Above 10. If there was like a truth angel that like came down from the sky and could answer those questions for me and told me exactly how many times, I would not be surprised if it was 20. I think it's above 10. Might be 15. Might be 20. It certainly is somewhere around in that range of times of Iron Will, which is a lot for one movie when you think about it. Especially a movie that I don't believe I actually ever owned on VHS. I think that was just me catching it either by renting it or on cable or Disney or whatever. And then eventually, when I had my own money, I bought the DVD of it. So, yep. Happy anniversary, Iron Will. Thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the other side.